This session looks at NextGen TV, unlocking revenue and value for broadcast television. I'm going to hand you over to the moderator, Mary Kribasa.
You got it.
From LTN. Thank you.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. We're so excited today to talk about ATSC3 and the new revenue streams that are going to be coming from it. And I have an excellent set of panelists with me, and it's the second time we've all been together, so we're excited about that. And I'm going to introduce you starting with Mark. So Mark Aiken is the SVP of Advanced Technologies, Sinclair Broadcast Group, and the president of One Media. And then I have Brett Jenkins, EVP and Chief Technology Officer of Nexstar. John Hain, President of BitPath. And Carrie Oslin, VP of Strategy and Business Development, EW Scripts. Thanks, guys, for joining me today. Appreciate it. So I'm going to give you, the group, a couple of just opportunities and thoughts, and then I'm going to ask these guys some questions. And some of the questions are going to be to all of you, and some of the questions are going to be aimed at certain ones of you. So I first want to tell everybody that ATSC3, it can enable the delivery of 4K and/or HDR video experiences while advanced advertising capabilities supported within ATSC3 represent a huge opportunity to enhance ad value. Another point is that the new ATSC3 standard enables broadcasters to transmit their existing broadcast programming commitments with a part of the spectrum capacity for data casting, GPS services, autonomous vehicle control, and other non-TV use cases to drive additional revenue. Last but not least, ATSC3 won't be widely adopted before NextGen TVs are commonplace in consumer households. The forecasts look good, though. Sales for 2021 exceeded 3 million receivers, and then 4.5 million in 2022, and then we expect 11 million or more in 2023, plus a new line of 3.0 set-top boxes. Sinclair and its partner BitPath and Nexstar state that its NextGen TV signals reach 40% of households in their station's footprints, and the industry as a whole reaches 45%.
Now 49.8.
Now it's 49.83.
But who's counting?
Okay, first question, and this is for everyone, and we'll start with Mark and go down to Carrie. Which key new revenue streams are you looking to build out with ATSC3?
Boy, oh boy, that's a really big question, because everything that you mentioned can happen because it's IP based. We're actually looking at all sides of this equation. Better television. We've got 28 HDR stations on the air today. That'll probably be 40 by the end of the year. We've launched the pilot with data casting to go after revenues in fast traffic areas, EV chargers and others, and data casting supporting activities of BitPath, for example, in GPS augmentation. So if it's IP, we're going to do it.
Excellent. Sounds like...
And make money.
That's right. That's even better. What do you think?
So when I think about your question, which revenue streams are we going to pursue? All of them is the answer, right? Just like Mark said. We always talk about the sort of two buckets of business opportunities that we have. The buckets around the core business that we're in today, so enhancements to that core business, and then sort of the new business opportunities, which we think are going to be enabled largely through the ability to engage in, sort of data casting or high-speed internet broadcast, basically. And so I would say we're excited about both of those. We're probably more excited about the data casting side just because we think probably the core business looks like incremental opportunities, right, on top of our business. But the data casting pieces are businesses that we're just not in right now. And so we think that's a huge growth driver. And we point to studies like the recent BIA white paper that was published that say, by 2030, those data casting opportunities could add up to something like $15 billion on the high side, their most optimistic case for the entire industry. So you think about $15 billion, and that's kind of the size of what retransmission consent revenue is for the broadcast industry today. That's a very, very interesting opportunity. So we get really excited about the idea that we're going to be able to unlock spectrum value and address new opportunities in a way that could really generate a tremendous amount of growth for all our businesses.
Cool. What about you, John?
Well, so I agree with everything some of my membership ownership companies say. Would never disagree with any of that. But yeah, I would like to, so we absolutely, I quit a really nice job in a law firm to do this. I love it. I took a big pay cut. I believe in it. It's going to happen. We're going to make money in data services, and we're going to start this year. This is not pie in the sky. Now, we have some constraints. We don't have a lot of 3.0 capacity today, right? So we got to do it with not much capacity. We can't be destructive of the video business until we prove our merit. When we prove that we can generate and deliver revenue, then people, will be willing to look at maybe carving back on their video services. But we're competing with that. That's the bar. But I got to be honest with you, and I used to be in satellite where the cost per bit is very high. The capital cost per bit is extraordinarily high in satellite. So you're never going to compete on raw capacity. You compete on architecture. So I'm very comfortable in this world. I invented a couple of things that are in common use today that take advantage of the satellite architecture without trying to overburden the capacity. So those I'm taking advantage of the architecture, not brute force. Brute force will come. We have a lot of capacity, but you got to start small and slow. Now, my favorite things are where you're starting small in terms of your data requirements, but the upside is really, really unlimited. That's why we're launching in location services, okay? It's a big, complicated market. I could talk about it for 3 hours. I won't bore you with it, but it's legit. It's growing at a compound annual growth rate of 22% a year compared to streaming, which until last week we thought was growing at 9% a year, which is huge. Like 9% is huge. 22 is unbelievable. There is a very real place for broadcasters in this space. We validated it with people in the GPS community. We are demonstrating it here. If you want to see it, there's a best thing to do is send me an email at jhane@bitpath.com. If you have my number, text me.
You don't read email.
I read emails sometimes. I'll try to remember to read them. And we have a few slots left if you want to get more in depth. We're talking about a small amount of capacity and really, really infinite scalability at a very, very low cost.
Excellent.
Was I supposed to say something else? Or is
No,
that-
I think that was great. But Carrie, what do you think? Which key new revenue streams are you looking to build out?
I'm most excited about the first dollar, and that first dollar will come this year for sure, and it will probably be sponsorship dollars that are associated with a broadcast app. If you haven't taken a peek at some of the broadcast apps, I think the NextGen
Yeah, they're right over there.
booth
Right
is right over there.
there, yeah.
And there'll be sponsorship dollars that will be associated with launching some of those broadcast apps. And then the next piece of revenue that I'm most excited about, I'm excited about the first dollar, and I'm excited about the first $1 billion, which is going to be in the out years. And I agree, it's going to be data casting. And we're pretty excited about what's going on with the automotive space and the work that we've been doing in Michigan with the Motown 3.0 test track with partners like Nexstar to prove out some key capabilities that we needed to have in our hip pockets. And so that's what I'm excited about. I'm super excited about the first dollar, though. I promise that this is the year we make the first dollar. And somebody asked me how many. I said one. but it's a start.
That we will.
Oh yeah, it's going to be framed.
So speaking of,
Let me
yeah,
add
go
one
ahead.
thing, if I can just jump. The dollars
Yeah.
are very important.
Yes.
Right. But broadcasters have a public service obligation, and they meet it every day. And we are going to make our location service available for free to public safety and first responders.
Good.
Right out of the box.
Good.
They deserve it.
Thanks,
And it has
John.
particular value to them. They're big users.
That's a good point. So, Carrie, you mentioned data casting. That was a good segue because the second question is data casting beginning to unlock new revenue streams sooner than anticipated?
Oh boy, listening to some of the things that John's been talking about, I think it's going to be unlocked sooner, and I can't wait to actually get on the floor, get in some demos with these guys, and really see what they've been working on. The huge dollars, I don't know if that's going to be much sooner. I mean, we've got a lot of work to do and a lot of convincing to do, but
Right.
the economics are so compelling that automotive, for instance, needs to keep kicking the tires of broadcast TV because just the pure efficiencies and the savings, billions of savings that they could possibly have if in fact they move to technologies that were one to infinite and really one millionth of the cost of what they're paying right now.
Wow. That's amazing. And what do you think about data casting?
Well, if there wasn't money there, people wouldn't be building towards it.
True.
You've got lots of activities that have been launched around that, and you've got innovation that continues to be built around ATSC3. I was excited the other day to read about work being done by Rode and Etri and the Koreans with MIMO, where you can literally double the capacity of ATSC3 throughput in those fixed applications. People would not be putting millions and millions of dollars into developing new technologies on top of ATSC3 if there weren't dollars there.
True.
And there's certainly dollars being invested into that. You've got ARC in conjunction with Trinity Broadcast that are deploying 10 pilot stations, and it's all about data casting. It's not about video. But one thing that slips in between this notion of television and data casting is that because it's all IP and because everything we're doing is all IP, the internet sits in the middle of that.
Right.
And so all those OTT applications, all of that web development that we've done for the last 2 decades,
Right.
all of that fits right into the framework of ATSC3. So in between the spectrum utilization side of what we have, it's all the other assets that we have in terms of news and production values of all sorts. So
Yeah.
don't miss that piece in
Yeah,
between.
it's an important piece too, for sure.
And Mark, you mentioned that MIMO and the things that are happening there too. Evoca is an innovative 3.0 service that is lighting up in a couple of markets. They are already making money. They have a couple thousand subs in the Denver market right now, and they have a paid service that is largely built around 3.0.
Yeah. And they did. They just announced the polarization test was
did.
done very successfully.
Yeah.
That was the MIMO thing is so cool. Very nice. Brett, this question's for you. You mentioned the BIA study. It estimated potential revenues of up to $15 billion by 2030. Where is that coming from primarily, and which revenue streams will be the first to accelerate, and which are long term?
So it's an interesting question, right? That BIA study, if you haven't seen it, I'd encourage you to go, use Google or something and track it down and read. But it was effectively a top-down study, right? It's basically they modeled based on capacity. One of the great things about NextGen TV is it's going to increase our capacity to offer lots of different services, either services in core business or new ones.
Right.
And so when you look at sort of the methodology that they used, it very much was a top-down sort of study. basically assigning an economic value to the capacity and then saying, NextGen unlocks all this additional capacity, and that's sort of the price tag, sort of what it's worth from a top down. So your question is more like, what's the bottom up, right? So what does that get made up of? Look, we're fond of throwing around a saying that we think the best idea has not been thought of yet, and we say that it's not dodging the question. I really think that's true. I think what we are trying to do, many of us as broadcasters, Carrie, myself, Mark, is trying to set up the pipes, the infrastructure, the platform. In fact, I remember years ago when we first started thinking about this, and Mark, I think, coined the phrase NextGen broadcast platform. And the idea was to think of this next generation of technology as a platform the way you would think of like the Apple App Store as a platform. And that's where I think that 15 billion is going to come from. I think it's going to come from sort of offering up a platform where lots of smart people, maybe you guys in this audience today, are gonna think about, boy, if I could get access to a nationwide network of sort of high-speed, one-way, very secure, extremely economically efficient data transmission, what could I do with that? And I think that's really what we want to do. We want to unlock the innovation that is out there by kind of opening up the pipes and the platform, as it were. That said, I will add one more thing. Specifically, if I had to, the application I like, and Carrie and I agree on this, I really do think automotive applications are sort of ripe for the picking right now. Because so much of what automobiles need, we can provide, right? It's sort of wireless, high-speed connectivity to infinite number of receivers out in the market that all kind of need the same data at the same time. It's highly secure, predicted latency. There's lots of really interesting characteristics. And so if I were in Vegas, making odds, I would guess that maybe some of these automotive applications are the ones that emerge early on.
Yeah, and let me add two things, because that ties in very well to what we're doing with our location service. Number one, automotive is just one of many, many subsets.
Right.
Okay, this is done today, but either it's wildly more expensive than the price point at which we can do it for, or it's far less accurate.
Right.
So if you want high accuracy, it's not scalable.
Yeah.
If you want scalability, it's not highly accurate. If you want some combination in the middle, it's very expensive and not perfectly accurate. So nobody's going to be all things to everybody in this space, but there's a very big segment that cannot efficiently be addressed. Number two, we're building our first generation of location services on our development kit, exactly to what Brett was saying. We're going to put this development kit in the hands of people in the Golden Triangle and Silicon Valley and all the tech development corridors and in universities from Canada to Mexico, right? And we're going to put them in markets where we have 3.0 capacity, and we're going to give them 3.0 capacity to play with. So we're going to let people, these are very standard development kits. Smart people that work in these areas will know what it is, they'll know how to play with it, and they get to play with it. And you think about AWS. When AWS came around, people didn't even understand it. Reed Hastings on an earnings call said, by the way, we use AWS, this was 15 or 20 years ago. By the way, we use AWS. That's the most valuable part of this company, and people didn't understand it, right? And then you put that power in developers' hands and you go, wow. Right. So we're going to put the development kit out there.
Yeah, and what we've done in Detroit with the Motown 3.0 test track is we've carved out 10% of our available bandwidth, the 3.0 bandwidth, and this is CBS, Fox, Graham, and Scripps, and we've basically, it's an open invitation to automotive and their vendors to come out and play and use broadcast internet. And we don't ask to look over their shoulders if they come out. And I will tell you, we've been doing this 16 months. We've had a lot of companies on the track doing a lot of interesting things.
Wow. That is so cool. Really love that. Carrie, while we're on you, I know that since we all last got together, LTN's launched 7 markets with ATSC3. So we've been busy.
Just this year.
Just this year. Just 7 since we last spoke in February. We've launched 7 markets. So we've been busy. But Carrie, to you, what's new in 2022, and how do you think the ATSC3 rollout is progressing this year and looking ahead?
Well, you threw out a bunch of numbers at the beginning, and
Right.
And those numbers I can just affirm for you. That's a mix of mostly CTA numbers. So this is not broadcasters telling you what we think. This is broadcasters telling you what CTA has told us in terms of what has been sold, what has been ordered. And so it looks really good. I mean, and you already mentioned we're at 50% of the country now.
Yep.
We can round up, right? Okay.
That's
We'll be
right.
at 80% of the country with services by the end of the year. But really, for us, it is about. I mean, the rollout has to continue, and it will continue, and we'll continue to be a part of it. But consumers have to see something different and palpable when they are an early adopter and they turn on 3.0.
Right.
Right now, they see a simulcast. Right now, they get better pictures, they get better sound, but they have to see something different. We say that the first 10 million customers are going to have a lot to say what the next 50 million do or don't do.
Right.
And we do not want to do 3D TV all over again. So we have to give our consumers something different and palpable and interesting. And that's why I think rolling out broadcast applications, having a little bit of competition between multiple platforms that are emerging, I think that's good for us. But that's really exciting for me is that, and I do watch 3.0 TV in Atlanta, and I can't wait to be able to use my remote to win, play, vote, buy, bet, be better
Right.
informed, all of those things. That's going to be fun. It's going to be fun for the TV producers out there too, with
Yeah.
all of these new tools.
Super exciting. And John, how long do you think we'll be in this transitional phase?
Well, I mean, I think it depends. If you want to say, that's a general question. If the question is when is the last 1.0 station shut off, I think that's a fair
so.
distance in the future, except in some of the smallest markets where we flash cut, because you're going to want to keep the converse of what we have today with ATSC3 signals shared by multiple, or 2 or 3,
Right.
shared by multiple stations in the market. That's probably, maybe 8 years out. But,
Okay.
where people are substantially transitioned and where the quorum of viewing is on 3.0 and we're more comfortable sort of shutting off 1.0 in some markets, and most TVs have 3.0 in them, you're probably looking at 5 years.
Okay.
If I could add
Yeah,
something.
sure.
Something that Kerry said triggered an additional thought, which is coupled with his earlier point about sponsorships. But this is a platform that has the opportunity to engage TV viewers in ways that they've never been engaged. And so the sponsorship is important. The broadcast app is incredibly important. Better pictures, HDR is important. But all of that adds up to increased engagement and stickiness and more time on the television platform. And that by itself, is a huge revenue goal that everybody has. So it's again all things, but it's more better, and the competition is great. We've always competed in the local marketplace. The biggest chore that John has been sort of chopping trees down on with respect to BitPath is getting broadcasters in markets working together.
Right.
I mean, how many different broadcasters have been part of the BitPath?
Essentially,
130?
I think all of the major groups in one way or another have participated in some of our markets.
That's
I mean,
true.
Scripps has
Yeah.
been terrific. I don't want to leave anybody out, and I won't say this, but Scripps has been terrific, and all the other broadcasters, all the other large groups have been absolutely terrific.
Right.
I mean, I can't think of anybody, I probably could, who hasn't participated.
Be nice, John.
And some
You'll
have
get them on a
participated.
second round.
I'll leave it at that. I think everybody here would. I mean, we've really worked together. Nobody is counting pennies and nickels. Everybody is focused on making it work. And I have never. I've been in this industry, you know. I'm a young man, but I've been in it for 40 years, and I've never seen this kind of cooperation with broadcasters ever. Consolidation has helped because there are not as many people to deal with. I'm just sorry to say, that's a reality. There are many fewer cats to herd. They're a lot bigger. They can tear you up, but there's not as many of them.
Oh my gosh. Well, here's another question, and let's start with Mark. What does a major trade show like NAB do for NextGen TV? Will it help drive momentum?
Oh, I think as you walk around the floor, I mean, you know, there are very few, you know, companies that we buy from that are not engaged in one way or another with 3.0.
Right.
You know, because it's all avenues. It's production, it's storage, it's cloudification of these workflows. It's you know, it's transmission gear. It's everything. So I think what we've been able to do through forums like this and other events is get people understanding that there's real activity that you know may not have added up to that first dollar bill being shown, but they all lead to dollars. And those are the kinds of things that people don't get a sense of necessarily if they're just, you know, another market's lit up. It's great, but another market's lit up to an end goal, which is to make money.
That's right. That's exactly correct. So another question, and Brett, I'll ask you this. What are you looking forward to most at this year's show from a NextGen TV perspective?
Well, other than being on this panel, which is clearly
Good answer.
the most exciting thing, I would say what's great is just to sort of walk the floor and be surprised. I think, and already in whatever half a day, like I've already seen things that I was not expecting to see. And I was looking forward to that, and I have not been disappointed.
Okay.
You know, when you sort of walk around and you see, we talk about sort of opening this platform up to innovation, and I see things that I didn't know was happening, that some company has sort of taken the standard and invented a product that they want to show us. So I think, to me, that's probably the biggest, exciting thing. I think seeing, just overall seeing momentum too, seeing sort of the breadth at which it's touching. I mean, I can look around like all the different signs over here and think about, this company's involved in this way and this company's doing this, and it's starting to become at least the vendors to our companies. It's starting to be second nature. Just kind of like part of their product offering. Like it's taken for granted that folks will have sort of equipment, infrastructure, products, software, services that are supporting the transition. And it's not surprising because, again, we've transitioned a ton of markets already. I mean, there's 50 markets roughly across 47, right?
47 or 48.
Again, who's
46.
counting? I know Nexstar has like 33 on the air already. So, we're writing checks, right? I mean, Carrie and Mark and I are writing checks.
Right.
We're asking our vendors to do that, and so that's also good to see. But I think so in many ways, the short answer is it's the surprise and it's the unsurprising.
Yeah.
Both of those things are very cool to kind of see at the show.
Yeah, it's definitely an ecosystem play, right? And there's a lot of different people, different companies that have to be involved in order to raise that ecosystem. And I know LTN's already launched 38 markets as of last week total. So, we're a part of it. You come into our booth and, along with all these other companies out here, ATSC3 has their booth right out here. You can go talk to the folks that are in that booth and on ATSC.org. And but there's a lot of players now that are all playing together in an ecosystem. Carrie, What's your message around ATSC3 for NAB show attendees?
Yeah, experience it. I was thinking about the audience inside the audience here, the regulators and policymakers, those that haven't been able to come to an NAB like the rest of us for a number of years. I think for them to experience it, for them to see the collaboration, the cooperation, the huge advancements, the enthusiasm, the public service, to me, I think a successful NAB will be when that audience inside this big audience walks away impressed with what we're doing, and I think we will impress them.
And there's still things to be done, by the way, on the regulatory side.
Yes.
You know, the issue of substantially similar programming, right? If you know, we're sort of tied into this notion by the FCC as a voluntary standard that we have to offer substantially similar programming on our ATSC1 and ATSC3. Well, if we could break that, if we could provide differentiated programming, not just in terms of quality, but a different kind of quality, which is you know, different kinds of shows, different types of genres. If we could do that, then that as well would add incrementally to what we're doing. But there are regulatory and people are knocking on the doors. People out here may not know that stuff, but you know, we don't have a wide open door to do whatever we want. We're walking a fairly narrow path until the regulators and politicians understand what it is we're affording to bring to the public that wasn't available before.
That is true.
I would just add to that too. I think Carrie's sort of one-word answer is really good, which is experience, right? This is a chance. A bunch of us have been talking about NextGen TV for
A long
time. And I know even within Nexstar, when I talk to our general managers, or I talk to our salespeople, or I talk to our news people, and you can just see they you know, you try to explain what is NextGen TV, and like it doesn't sink in.
Right.
So if you take time to walk the show floor, if you go to John's demo, if you go, you know, go over to the ATSC booth and see interactivity, like, you know, I feel like seeing it and experiencing it, like the light bulb really starts to go off with people. And I think that is an opportunity that we have not had in more than 2 years now. 3 years? Has it been 3 years?
We've been working the whole time.
So it's really like, hopefully people are here and they really do take advantage of the ability of walking the show floor and kind of mingling and seeing the things so when you say, oh, it's a converged, you know, IP, OTT, OTA, you know, people are like, what? Like, but if you say like, look, I can interact with my television screen behaves like a web page now.
Right.
They get it. They get it. And I think the one-word answer, experience it, 2 words, experience it, is a really good answer.
Thank you. That's a great comment. So we only have a few more minutes left, so I'm going to ask one last question to each one of you. We'll start with Carrie, and then we'll move this way. Any closing thoughts on the opportunities that ATSC3 creates?
Closing thoughts. I would. I'm gonna say something I already said, but us moving from the simulcast to now creating interactive experiences and things like that. We're really excited about that in Scripps, and we are setting off on something that we're calling 3 for 3, which is a 3-year strategy for 3.0, focused on early adopter experiences and early advertiser adopter experiences. And we're going to lay out that roadmap of what we're going to try to do, take a look at all of the assets that we have, and create experiences out of those assets that we do have. And we're shopping. We're shopping in other places across the globe that have been involved in interactive and hybrid television longer than us, HBB TV. So You will meet some companies that are here visiting with us and building apps, and they've been in this business for a lot longer than we have. Yeah. And what's interesting is HBB TV is pretty much ATSC3 when it comes to experience building. The same tools, HTML5,
Right.
JavaScript, and so it takes them literally a couple of days to take something that is HBB TV already ready and turn it into 3.0 ready. So I'm excited about accelerating by just stealing ideas from around the globe.
One last comment from anyone, because we got to go.
Yeah, so I have one, because I
And I know John's got to go right after
beat
this
you
is
to
over.
it, and I have to go too.
And
Mine's
it-
more meaningful.
But you pay, you guys pay for my. One thing is, IP. I don't have to explain why IP is important, right? We have not been in that world, but that's the world. Everybody else is in that world. Like almost everybody else around you is in that world except us. But all the people out that world don't have something we have. We have a very different physical layer and signaling layer. Totally different than anything available in IP. And that's very powerful. Okay, I'm not going to go into everything. The second thing I'm looking forward to is there is widespread misapprehension. What? There is widespread misapprehension in Washington about what broadcasters are going to do with 3.0. They don't understand it, but they're not thinking about it all the time, and they're not drilling in. What they're going to understand is when we start taking services and making them available inexpensively or free that have massive societal value, then they'll see it. When people start using it, and then when they find out that in addition to that, that is non-destructive of the video service. They're worried about us degrading the video service to make money in data. And what we're going to do is we're not going to degrade the video service, and we're going to deploy data services, some of which are free, but which we can still make money on and provide public service. And when the light bulb starts to go off at the FCC, I'm going to celebrate.
Plus, they get a 5% cut.
Okay.
So
I'm happy to give
All
them
right.
that.
Ty, thank you so
But Mark had something.
Mark, say one thing, but I'm getting the high sign.
Yeah, I know. Well, I got a high five. AEI, Advanced Emergency Information. All right.
That's right.
The public service.
That's
Again,
huge.
you'll see that at the ATSC booth. And I think some of the most important work going on right now in ATSC is the development of a core network, which is how do you transact across all of these disparate entities with the intent to distribute data and make money. So that core network development is key to the success of a national service.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone, for coming and listening. We really love it. Give these guys a big round of applause for coming by and seeing us. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.